Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Joe with Cowboy Cartel, and today we've got a special guest with us. Lionel and Clay are both out. Lionel is at the NFR, and Clay may join us here eventually. He's got some family issues, but taking the co-host role is Garrett Wilson. And Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's Garrett, by the way. For those of you who haven't ever met me, um, been in the industry for off and on about 8, 9 years, loving every minute of it, learning every day. Work for a store up here in Manhattan, Kansas, small little mom and pop store called Yeehaw Country Outfitters. And then about 4 months ago, I became a sales rep for Cactus Alley Hat Company, which is out of Lubbock, Texas, and kind of getting my foot in the door in the sales rep side of this industry. So,
Is that what you're wearing tonight? Is that a Cactus Alley
yep,
hat?
19th
All right.
hole.
Cool. And
I've got
you're
about
actually
15 of them.
your store there in Kansas is actually a an American stocking dealer. Is that right? American Hat
Yes,
Company. And
stocking being the word there.
yeah, I know it's very difficult for a lot of places right now to get stock. Even Cavender's, who is 96 stores, and you know, at my store we've got 3 American hats at the moment. So, even a player like Cavender's is having a hard time getting hats, but they don't do as much volume. They might make large orders throughout the year, but they're not doing the sales volume as something like Best Hat or Joby or NRS and the top tier guys.
Mm-hmm. Like Best Hat Store is an example. That's the only hat brand they carry.
Yeah, I mean, and
That being said, my boss bought a Resistol from them about 5 years ago. That when they were trying to clean out anything that didn't say American on it.
hmm they still had some
20X black gold.
they still had some old stock from what, the 90s or something.
Yeah, they were dumping all of it.
And that kind of brings me to something I was going to talk about a little later, but Resistol. I'm seeing some interesting stuff from Resistol at the moment, and I got a Resistol in last week that was a 4X from
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago, and that hat is in amazing shape. It feels fantastic. It's very soft. Of course, it doesn't have the body it probably had 25 years ago. It's not it's a little soft now, but as far as the felt itself, it's a great hat, and I would say it's better than the 20 or 30X Resistols coming out of the factory right now.
So weird fact: Resistol used to not make their own hat bodies. They do now. They have a raw body plant. Oh man, I forget where it's at. And then they have a finishing plant where they take the raw bodies and make them look like what's on your head right now. And Ceratelli Hat Company used to make some of Resistol's hats.
Yeah, and they're in what are they in New York, right?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, that's right. And they used to make, or they may still make some of the Cavender's hats.
I think
Cavender's
they
is
do make a good portion of them. I owned one
they make
back in
some
the
of
day.
they make some of the higher end Cavender's hats. I mean, the Cavender's has kind of got a few different, straw, and then they have some of their wool stuff, and then they have some of their
Mm-hmm.
higher end wool and felts coming out of. I think the higher end stuff is coming out of Ceratelli, and we've had a lot of Ceratelli stuff on clearance lately, and I don't think we're going to be stocking any of the Ceratelli hats because they're
I was
pretty high
at
priced.
the Cavenders in Kansas City, and they had a 500X Ceratelli that I took it out of the box to get a feel for it. I've seen 6X hats finish nicer than this,
Yeah,
and this is a $500 hat on clearance.
yeah. Some of the 20X Cavenders and Ceratelli um, hats are a little rough. Um, it's the finishing is
Mm-hmm.
definitely not what you would see from maybe Stetson Resistol 30X, 20X Resistol, or the black gold. Definitely not finished as well as American 7 and 10Xs.
American, probably out of any hat brand, has the nicest finishing on their felts. I will
Yes,
give credit where it is due.
yes. And you really can't judge another hat by American's finishing. I mean, you could, but not some of the the mass produced stuff that you're getting for $250. It
And
doesn't add up.
I've always kind of used, I'm going to use a Resistol 20X Black Gold as what I call a measuring stick product.
Hmm.
How does, a felt hat stack up to a Resistol 20X? It's, you know, for years Americans said, okay, just buy our 40X and you've got something as good, if not better, than a Resistol 20X, which is truthful.
Yeah, I've got a 40X back there behind me. It's a great hat. It's soft. I prefer the All Beaver hats just because I think the body is better. Um,
I wear, uh, so I have a American Hat Company Primos Rancheros, which, for those of you who don't know, American came out with their 100X, I think, in 2020.
yeah, it's fairly new.
Oh,
They did away
well,
with the 60 and they moved to a 100X.
yeah, they also did away with their
15.
15 and 30X,
Yeah.
which if you're going from a 20 to a 30, then from a 30 to a 40, and a 40 to a 60, you're splitting hairs on the difference between them.
Right.
So I get why they did it.
Well, it took me a year to figure out 90 to 95% of what those X factors mean in the American. I can't. It would have been much more difficult if we had to go. All right, what's a 60 and what's a 50 or a 15? What's a 30? So at least it kind of got rid of some of that
And it's just like
ambiguity
a
there.
15 was just like a 15 at retail is going to run a customer 10 to 15 more dollars than a 10X.
Hmm.
And really, how much better is it than a 10X? So,
Yeah, and that's another thing. They've got the 6X, and you don't really see a lot about that in my world.
no,
I've never even seen
we
one in person.
we've we've stocked a few of them back when wait, this is 5 years ago, and they had a really cool looking buckle set on them. It had some diamonds in it, like not actual diamonds,
Hmm.
but it was a beautiful buckle set. But I think kind of American uses that 6X kind of as, hey, you want to stock a smaller sizes for kids, kind of. That's what it's used for. Because American's never going to make anything like a wool hat. Those never do it. I wouldn't if I were them either.
No, no, of course not.
Um, which I don't know if you could tell me because I haven't seen a wool hat in forever. What's the price point on a wool hat nowadays?
$79.
I had a customer bring a Ariat Silver Belly 3X wool in, and he told me he paid $140 for it.
No. So Ariat's even cheaper than that. I don't think Cavender's stocks the Ariat, other than the one size fits most.
Uh huh.
It's mostly the children's hats. Got a lot of those. Cavender's is stocking Justin, was M&F,
Mm-hmm.
Twister, and Cavender's brand felt. I think that's about it. And then you can jump into the Cavender's brand Ceratelli 4 and 5X, which is going to run you about the 4X is $158 and the 5X is about I want to say $200. And there, you're talking about $200 for a wool hat, and you can jump into Resistol or Stetson for $50 more. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's crazy.
Yeah, so the Primos Rancheros is American's new 100X. The blend existed only for guys like me that like big brims. So I mean, that's basically what it is. American went to their make this for us in big brims. We need it available for smaller brims, and we want it more colors. So now the 100X is a thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
So they had
I'm
a
gonna have to
big
bleep
price
that.
jump from a 40X to a 200.
So you like the bigger brims? What are you wearing? 5-inch brims or?
My two felts are 4 3/4.
Okay.
If I get another one, it'll be an actual 5-inch brim. I got two straws this summer. They're an actual 5-inch, so I'll fit in out in West Texas.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that on a couple of
Mm-hmm.
podcasts with the big WTP, and those guys out in West Texas wearing that high sides, just huge
I
five
call it
inch
East
brims.
Kansas punch here because it's just as windy here in Kansas.
Does it work for you?
Oh yeah, I never have to chase my hat down.
I actually I made a Gus out of an American that we've got a lot of um, people who want to shape hats
Mm-hmm.
and are trying to learn, but they'll grab a $400 hat and
Mm-hmm.
play with it, and then they've destroyed a $400 hat. So we've had one of those sitting around that they've tried to sell, and now it's missing an American pin off of it. Half of the buckle set's gone. The lining's out of it. Somebody has sprayed stiffener in it a couple times and tried to, I mean, it was just a wreck. But it was a 4.5-inch brim, and I finally said, you know what, we're not going to sell this. I'm going to shape it, and I shaped it into a Gus, and this was, I don't know, last Friday I think, and just I put an American sticker on it, put it on display because nobody's going to buy that thing, and clearly nobody's sending it back or damaging it out, which is what it
Mm-hmm.
should have happened. But anyway, I made a Gus out of it, and to me, and I'll put a picture of that right here. But to me, the Gus, I always thought it was kind of a dumb hat. It looked dumb, but it's really practical.
Oh, it is.
It's super practical. It's shaped in a way to be more aerodynamic almost, but it's got this huge brim that kind of has a lip on it and a dip in the front and the back to keep the rain off of you. It's a really
Mm-hmm.
elements or whatever. It's really a practical hat though. I think it'd be a great hunting hat.
I've had a few customers back when in the days when you could special order hats in that wanted Gus's on them, and that was about the only way I ever told a customer you were going to find a Gus in our stores if we ordered it for you.
And you do some shaping in house, right?
Oh yeah, I'm our hat shaper at our store.
Okay. How long you been shaping?
So before Yeehaw Country Outfitters opened, I used to work for a store called Lee's Western Wear, and it was attached to a sale barn. So I call it a sale barn Western store. You do all your business on Fridays when you have sales. Um, and I basically learned from I'd see a hat on the shelf and was like, yeah, the brim's a little uneven. So I'd just learn to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
or hey, the crown's a little off to one side or the other. I'd just fix that, and I just watched a lot of videos. I learned how to do more and more. Now I'm capable of doing your more basic shapes on open crowns. I haven't attempted some of the funkier stuff that's you're seeing the guys like Danny do at Best Hat Store. Or
Yeah.
Um,
And,
yeah.
and the only way to do that though is kind of just to jump in it.
Hmm.
You know, there's been several shapes that I've done that I didn't know how, and I just, the only way to do it is kind of jump in, and sometimes it's worked out, and sometimes it hasn't. So
A brick still bothers me trying to attempt one, but I mean, up here, most people want a mimic or some form of a cattleman's crease, so which I can do fairly easily.
hmm
I actually have shaped more cavalry hats than I have cowboy hats. It's
is
ridiculous.
that right? You got a lot of
Yeah, we have.
reenactors, or
No, we actually have Fort Riley right here,
okay?
about 10 minutes from Manhattan, and we have cav units.
hmm
So um, I I I've lost track how many cav hats I've shaped and reshaped. It's ridiculous.
So what are
I
they?
joke with people I could do it blindfolded.
What are they wearing right now? Is it like the campaign style, or
So it's just kind of traditional. It's got a center crease in it, and then just a pinch right here in the front, and then it's just down the front, down the back.
I'm googling her as we speak. Oh, okay, I know that hat. As a matter of fact, a guy came in a couple weeks ago. We had oh, it was for Veterans Day. He was in
Mm-hmm.
town, and he was doing some kind of one of the veterans events, and he just asked me to clean it and fix the dip. So yeah, I have seen
Mm-hmm.
that hat. I don't remember, other
Yeah,
than it had a lot of dip in the front and back. I don't remember um, what the crown was shaped like, I guess.
you can get them with a few different shapes on the crown. Ideally, if it was up to me, just because I think it looks cool, I'd have a teardrop crown in them. But we're kind of the companies that make cav hats right now. You're kind of at the mercy of what they're willing to manufacture
hmm
because it's such a specialized thing.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Stetson is kind of they refer to them as Stetsons. All these the guys in these cav units are like, hey, they don't come in saying they need a cavalry hat. They come in saying, hey, I need a Stetson. Because Stetson was the brand that traditionally made cavalry hats. Um, we've never sold Stetson cav hats. We're not a Stetson or Resistol dealer. Actually, our first ones we sold were Rodeo King, and coming from a guy that had worked on a lot of Stetson cav hats and working on the Rodeo Kings, I will take, if I had to be in a cav unit, I would buy a Rodeo King cav hat over a Stetson any day of the week just because they hold up
So does
10
Rodeo
times
King?
better.
Rodeo King does do a lot of police and military hats. So they
Mm-hmm.
make a pre-shaped cavalry hat.
Yep, I put the front dimples in the crown and I shape the brim however they want. Um, Nowadays, Rodeo King really doesn't even want to do them just because of their production.
hmm
So now we have moved on to carrying Milano calf hats.
Huh, okay, that's interesting. Um,
And I knew they did them, and we found out that Rodeo King wasn't really in the mood to do them anymore. That was the first thing I mentioned to my boss. We should open a Milano account to do calf hats.
have
So
Have you seen this book? Speaking of Milano,
I haven't.
so it's an autobiography by John Milano, and so I was at Fenolio Boots a couple of weeks ago, and James Fenolio gave me this book. So I have not started it yet, but it's on my reading list. That's next for me to read. It's interesting. I kind of went through the preface, and it looks like an interesting story. So so you carry Milano now. You carry Rodeo King and American. What? So those are the core. What else do you carry? I guess.
Atwood, which I'll be honest, I'm always been a fan of their hats. We just became a dealer for them 2020, 2021.
hmm
Um, I'm super impressed with the stuff they make. Especially their felts. They're not a brand typically known for their felt hats. Guys like me that want a big brim They do them better than anybody.
So Atwood's an
And I don't care if you're ordering a 5X or their 100X. They're all good.
Atwood's an interesting story.
Hmm.
He started on his ranch in a small facility, and then he moved somewhere, and I think now he's back at the ranch in a bigger facility,
Hmm.
and he will tell you what his blend is right on his website.
Yep.
So there's no there's no what does this mean? What is the 6X or what is the whatever. So I kind of like that about him. It is
Yeah,
family
no, I
owned.
don't think he's diving too deep into, on his, let's say his 20X for an example.
Hmm.
It's 50% beaver. He's not diving into what percentage of it's belly hair versus what
Right,
percentage of it's
right,
guard hair, but he's telling you how much beaver fur is in that hat.
right. Yeah, I mean, and that's a great place to start when you compare it to somebody. Yeah, I mean, like American, it's really hard to get what their hats are, made out of. A
Hmm.
lot of times, um, the standard is it's a blend, but you don't know
Hmm.
what it's a blend of. So,
Well, other than if it's their 500.
yeah, they'll tell you it's 100% beaver belly.
Hmm.
That's what I'm wearing today is a 500. Love
Just like
that
their
hat.
200, it's pure beaver, but what percentage of it's belly versus guard hair?
Yeah, and that doesn't matter. Even the 100X is a pure beaver hat. So, I mean, um, to
I've
me,
heard two stories on the 100X. I've heard it's 80%. I've heard it's pure beaver.
well, when we were at the factory, Cody Bates confirmed it's an all beaver hat. So,
Hey, I got a good hat then.
yeah,
Actually, I got two of them. So I've got a pecan and a black, and I won't wear a felt without a bound edge.
yeah, okay. Well, I guess it depends on the edge and how wide it is, and the Rodeo Kings look good with a bound edge and a ribbon, flat
Hmm.
ribbon on the as the hat band.
So I'm weird. I want the bound edge, but I want the self band on it.
Really? Okay.
That's it. Honestly, my sales rep got me in on that. I saw all his felts were, and I'm just like, oh, sharp. Just something a little different. I think my black one has a 4-line black bound edge on it, and then my pecan has a 9-line chocolate bound edge on it, and that is real sharp looking.
So we were talking about Atwood though, and they're making their hats right here in Texas. They're
Yep.
felts, but their
Hmm.
straws. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. Their straws are coming out of Mexico. I don't know why they're doing
Yep.
that. I've always wanted to go kind of and talk to them, but I
Hmm.
just haven't had the opportunity yet to do that. So
Only thing I could see why companies make straws down in Mexico is price point.
well, but
Obviously labored.
Atwood straws are 150, 160 plus dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's competing with an American. Well, before the price increase, now Cavender's is retailing Americans for $210.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what Atwood's going to be next year,
I don't either.
but I would imagine they're going to go up as well. And that's the problem when you've got the Atwood straw competing with American for pricing, but they're made in Mexico versus an American-made product. To me, it's not worth it. It looks good. It doesn't look bad. It's got a nice sweatband. The lacquer feels good. It's similar styles to American on several different. That poly rope looks great. You know, so
The only thing I'll say about Atwood that they need to play with is their fit on their pre-creased hats.
hmm
You could buy that same weave pattern in an open and buy one in a pre-creased, same size. That open crown's going to fit way different than that pre-creased.
so I don't think I've ever seen a pre-creased Atwood. Cavender's only carries the straw; they don't carry the felt, and I haven't seen the Atwood felt either. But they carry all open
They're
crown Atwoods.
they're they're felts. Whether you get them, I think pre-creased or open crown, fit very pretty much 99% the same. On the straws, it's way different.
hmm Well, the only pre-creased that Cavender's carries that I can remember is the Atwood Palm, which is a horrible palm. It's one of those over painted, just ugly floppy palms. That's
I've never
plastic.
been a palm leaf fan.
Yeah,
I won't hold back anything there. If you want to wear a palm leaf, just wear a felt hat. You're gonna sweat just as much in them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, they're tough. I mean, a palm leaf, man, you can't break that body, but they just don't breathe,
Yeah.
and they just don't hold a shape worth a darn.
No, they don't. No, I've had several people bring in a palm and ask me to reshape it, shape it back, you know, and I tell them, I can try, but it's not going to stay.
Hmm.
So
There's no wire in the
no,
brim of them, which
exactly,
is why.
right, exactly.
If they would just put a wire in the brim of them, that would solve all the issues.
Yeah, a
And I
lot
don't
of it. Yeah.
know. I know that for an example, I forget which model it is, the Jason Aldean ones by Resistol.
Yes.
There's a few of them that have a wire in them, and those things will hold a shape.
Hmm. I'm not a fan of the Jason Aldean hats. When they first come in and you put them on the shelf, the entire area where they are smells. I mean, it just has this horrible smell to them.
Palm leaves have a smell to them. You either love it or hate it.
I hate it. But yeah, um, you know, so I would almost say Atwood is. I don't know. I guess they're just a small company. Joby did make a huge Atwood order this year, so I'm hoping to get a chance to see some of those felts. I'm sure they're going to be. I'm sure he's going to have a wide range. I think he ordered 1,000 hats.
Yeah, their 5X is probably the nicest 5X on the market they make. We sell them at our store for $250.
Okay.
Um,
And so is
I
their
have a couple.
5X? Their 5X is a. I would have to look, but is it an all rabbit hat
90% rabbit hair, 10% wool.
wool? Okay, still wool. Okay.
And then we don't mess with them. They do a 2X and a 4X, which are two different wool blends. I don't think any company has their own blends made on wool hats. I think if they're all buying the same hat bodies to make them, I don't know why you'd go through the trouble of making your own wool blend
Hmm.
as a hat company. I mean, I wouldn't.
And that's another thing. These guys are coming out with different wool hats. Some of them are good. Some of them really bad.
Mm-hmm.
The Ariat wool hats are in the kids' sizes are
Mm-hmm.
pretty nice for a wool hat because they take the steam, they shape up really easily. I can knock a kid's felt out in probably 5 minutes, and when they cool off, they're hard. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty decent hat for $20. 25,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. Um, some of the Cavendish stuff that's coming in right now will not take steam. It's almost like they're using some kind of a lacquer to, and they're almost waterproof. But you hit them with steam
Mm-hmm.
and they'll get warm, but the actual steam isn't penetrating, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
shape them. I just can't do anything with them. So it's only on a few.
And you've got better equipment than I do.
Yeah, I do. You're using Jiffy Steamer there, aren't you? Because I've seen your
Yeah,
store. It's a pretty nice store, but you're obviously not doing the volume to need a $7,000 steamer.
yeah. I'm trying to convince my boss to get one.
Yeah, I mean they're great. I can never go back to a Jiffy. After having access to something that puts out a ton of steam and gets nice and hot.
What I like about a cabinet steamer is you've got basically steam on demand.
Yeah.
You put your foot on a pedal, 5 seconds later, there's steam coming up the head of it.
Right.
So that's what I want one for.
Well, I mean,
That
there's a
does
lot more
open up
volume. There's a lot more volume of
Mhm.
steam than a Jiffy, and I think that's the main thing. It's higher volume, higher pressure, and I can put it where I want it. If I just need to, get the corner, I angle it in there and hit the corner. So I mean, a Jiffy to me seems like it gets the hat more wet than it does anything.
The boiler doesn't get the water as hot as a cabinet steamer
Right.
does.
Yeah.
Puts out a wetter steam, if that makes any sense to anybody.
It does to me because I've used
uh,
both. So I completely understand if you don't. I just don't like using a Jiffy.
Jiffys work great if you're needing to do small touch-ups on hats. You can put the steam right in the little spot you need it.
Yes. Some guy wanted a 20x, um, brim reshaped, a 20x resistol brim reshaped, and I was out of steam in the cabinet, and the manager said, "Well, use the Jiffy." I'm not using it on this hat. I,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will wait.
That's the only knock on a cabinet steamer is if you're on the water out, it's a process to get that thing ready to go again.
Yeah, I kind of got. I have to do it so often. I wish we had either two steamers or an autofill steamer, but because working at Joby's, he's got seven steamers going, and somebody's always filling them, so you can always
Mm-hmm.
keep going. At Cavender's, you're
Mm-hmm.
down. I'm only down about 15 minutes. I've kind of got it down to a science, but still, it's 15
You
minutes.
have to let them depressurize to refill them, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem.
You don't have to worry about that with the Jiffy. You just
Keep
if I
dumping
run out
water
of
in.
water, I go put hot water in them because that thing's hot. You don't want to put cold water on
Hot
hot
element, yeah.
steel. Yeah. So, and I'm good to go again in about 10 minutes.
So we've got companies like Atwood and Saratelli and all of these manufacturers producing hats right now. J.W. Brooks, another kind of up and coming hat manufacturer. They're still pretty small, but they're getting in the right places. I mean, you got the name, so I think he probably is doing better. And then some of the newer guys, that are out there, he's got the name recognition and he's probably got connections. But his hats, he's got some really cool looking hats. The bodies are dyed in really cool colors, and I've played with some of his 50X at NRS, and it's not a bad feeling hat. Have you seen any of those yet?
Uh, I think I was on National Roper Supply and saw some of them, but I've never seen one in person.
Yeah, they're pretty cool hats. I think they're doing it right. They're not too bad. It seems like if I remember right, they're pretty pricey too, though. Um, and then you've got the custom guys, custom hats. A lot of those guys are getting their hat blanks from the same place, and then you're really paying for. I think we might have talked about this, talked about it in that post, but you're really paying for the experience of
Uh-huh.
the guy shaping it, or the guy making your hat, and the materials he's using, as far as sweatband and just the overall quality of how good a hat maker he is. Because to me, it's kind of the same hat as everybody else is making. Got any custom stuff?
I don't.
You guys got some custom makers there in Kansas, don't you? I know you do.
We do. I couldn't tell you their names.
Me either. Right off the top of my head, I can't either.
One hat company I personally have interest in is Big R Hats.
Yes, I follow them on Facebook, and as a matter of fact, I was just at the American Factory a couple of weeks ago, and I drove right past Big R. They are on the highway, same highway. I forget the name. Is it 30? It's not 35, but so NRS is on the left-hand side if you're going toward Bowie, and Big R is on the right-hand side, just about a mile later, right there in Decatur. They've got some. They got a pretty good following. I know a lot of people like their hats, and they're pretty You, they're pretty readily available at certain stores here in Texas. I don't know how big they are outside of Texas. Have you?
I think I looked up on their dealer locator. I don't know if there's a single one here in Kansas.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go in there and talk to them. At least, check them out.
Actually, I think Jeff used to work for American back in the day.
Jeff.
Biggers.
Okay. Okay.
I worked on a couple of the straws. I had some guys wanting them tweaked at my store, and durability and quality wise, they're up there with the big boys.
So are they pressing their own straws, or are they?
Yeah, they're making them there in Decatur.
Really? That's interesting, because that was a question I had. There's so many people making them in Mexico right now. I just assumed, so I didn't know. But that's kind of cool. So what other brands do you carry? Let's talk about boots, I guess, for a bit here. I know you carry Anderson Bean and Ariat, and what else? What else you got there?
Twisted X, Horsepower, Corral, Circle G. That's only for the ladies in our store. We don't. I honestly don't know why Corral even makes boots for guys.
I've seen there's a Corral ostrich leg. It's a gray ostrich leg. I've seen it, and I thought it was awesome. But I've tried on everything from an 11 to an 8.5, and none of them fit me. I mean, they're either way too long or way too narrow. They just don't fit.
I couldn't even tell you. I probably have tried on a men's Corral. I guarantee it wasn't the right size, but
Yeah.
I'll never buy one.
It was just a cool looking boot, and I wanted to try it on, and I was so amazed at how horribly they fit. 8.5. I think it was an 8.5. I had room in my toes. I wear a size 10.5. So if that tells you anything, I could put the 8.5 D on, but it was too narrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then what other brand? We used to be a Nakona dealer. I haven't had a pair in the store for 2 or 3 years now. Nakonas used to be good boots back in the day.
Yeah.
And then
Until
we
they
also
moved to
carry
Dallas or
Tony Lama.
Okay, Tony Lama. I like Tony Lama's quality. I just don't like the style. They're pushing out a ton of the big square toes, and I'm just not a square toe fan at all.
Tony Lama's square toe is probably one of the ugliest on the market.
Yes.
Their square toe profile, it needs some help. Although their new 1911 collection wide square toe is way more on par with everybody else's.
Okay.
Used to be their wide square toe, I could swear it was 4 inches wide. It was just dumb looking.
Look like
I don't know how
flippers.
you got it in a set of. Yeah, I don't know how you got it in a set of stirrups.
Here their ostrich boots are super popular. They are considered high end with a lot of my customers. I mean, if you want a pair of ostrich boots, you need a pair of Tony Lamas. So,
one company I don't get even why it messes with exotics is a brand called Ariat.
well, you know what? And that's funny because I've got 2 pair of their exotics sitting back here, and they've been sitting there for well over 6 months, maybe 8. I was going to do a review. I don't even wear them. I was going to do a review on them, and I have now decided I'm not going to do a review on them. I'm just giving them away. Although it would help my YouTube channel using the name Ariat for the algorithm, it's just not. It's not my brand. I don't particularly do Chinese made stuff, and I have a pair of their smooth ostrich, which is Chinese made, and I have a pair of their bull quilt ostrich, which is a Mexican-made boot, but it's still junk.
Hmm.
So I'm just not going to review it unless you consider that a review. There it is.
Yeah. You're talking to a guy that hasn't bought a pair of Ariat since he was 18, and I'm 27 now,
Yeah.
so I haven't bought a boot that wasn't made in the U.S. in 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I do
That being
have
said, did buy a pair of their work boots.
I do have a couple pair of Mexican-made boots that I bought in Mexico. So
Hmm.
they are, you know, they're not. To me, I have a hard time with a company who is here and making boots in Mexico
Hmm.
or having the boots made for them in Mexico. It's just a.
Hmm.
I don't. I would prefer to go to Mexico and buy them myself from a Mexican company. Anyway,
Hmm.
everybody knows my stance on that. I'm sorry.
And I'm trying to think what other boot brands we care. Horsepower and Macy Bean,
Okay.
which are good boots for the money.
And we talked a little bit offline. You're kind of a fan of the horsepower top hand. You were saying that they were
They are a fan. I think pound for pound, build wise, internally, and just everything how they're fixing them up and finishing them. I think they're just a sharp looking boot for what you're paying for them, whether you're buying a non exotic or an exotic from them.
I have seen the horsepower. I just don't. I have never tried one on. I haven't really messed with them at all. Let's see here. But we were talking a little bit offline about Anderson Bean, and I don't know if you can or want to get into this, but I was talking about my recent experience with them. Um, I've got a pair of Hippo, and when I got them, they had holes along the welt line, and I contacted Anderson Bean, and they told me they don't have a warranty. Basically, I had to go back to the retailer.
I've heard different stories of how good Anderson Bean is or how bad they are
Hmm.
from different people, and I guess it's who you hear it from, honestly. Um,
I tell you what,
I'll say,
you almost have to be careful what you say about Anderson Bean because they have a cult-like following, and
oh, they do.
and nobody wants to hear anything bad about them. And I mean, okay.
Uh, and I guess it's different what side of this business you're in. If you're a consumer
Hmm.
and you have an issue with them, um, versus me, if we find an issue with one before it gets sold,
Hmm.
it's way different. And if we have an issue with a pair of beans, like I said, I try to find, you know, they're a growing company, their production's growing, therefore you're going to have
Hmm.
headaches with that. Um, I, we've learned with Anderson beans to inspect them before we add them to inventory.
So is that
I,
something?
you know,
Is that something you're having a hard time getting inventory with other companies besides American?
um, Rodeo King as an example. I have yet to see my felt hats from them.
Okay.
Now, Atwood, I'll use as an example. My hats were supposed to be here like September 1st. They showed up June 1st.
Okay. Well,
Which is why if you come into our store, there's none of them left because everyone bought
they're
them during
already
the
gone.
summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
having that same kind of issue at Cavender's at the moment. People are coming in now in December to buy felts, and I have to tell them, you're about 3 weeks too late. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we had a bunch. Now we've got, especially we don't have, a lot of 7.5s. We don't have a lot of 7.25s or 7.375, and 7 and
Yep.
8.
Those are the first three that go
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, of course, of course.
I'm about to stop ordering 6 and 7/8.
I don't know why a lot of people do. If you're gonna order 6 and 7/8, get three. You know, sit around forever. And sevens don't go very well. Six and three
Mm-hmm.
quarters don't go very well. I'll tell you what. If you can get your hands on an 8 or 7 7/8, those things that's money right there. People want those,
Mm-hmm.
and you know,
7 5/8.
yeah, 7 5/8 it goes pretty good too. If you don't have a lot, you know, if we've got 1/8, it'll be out the door in a week. You know, and people are amazed.
I've had them in the store before, back in the days when you could special order
Hmm.
them.
I've got it's
You know, you could order a hat and have it in your store in a month or
Well, the
two.
problem is you've got people out there who need size 8 or 7 3/4, and nobody's stocking them. So if you've got one, it's gone. You know, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
something they should start stocking a little more of. But um, so we talked about the Resistol 4X already. So are you watching the NFR? Do you follow any of that?
I'm not a big rodeo
Hmm.
watcher, to be honest. Even in the industry I work in, I'm just not a fan of it. What I do find way more interesting is the performance horse world.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of reining.
Reining, cutting, cow horse. I'm not taking anything away from roping horses, bulldogging horses, barrel horses, tie down horses. They got nothing on those cutting horses. I mean,
Yeah, they're pretty.
it's
It's pretty cool to watch.
money wise, it's what a really good cutting horse worth versus what a good team roping horse. That cutting horse is gonna be worth about 2 or 3 times as much. I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
I mean,
So I was curious if what's going on out in Vegas right now, as far as being a retailer, going out there and checking out what's new in the industry. You guys aren't planning on doing any of that, I guess.
my boss is going.
Is he? Okay.
So I have never been to Vegas at all, let alone during the NFR, which I tell people that's the only way I'd ever go. Um, I'd die to go out to watch the NFR in person one time. Even if I was watching it in a hotel in Vegas, I'd call that close enough for me.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching it. Like Friday, I had to work, and I came home and watched it after work. And I think I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching it. Yesterday, I got to watch it live, and obviously tonight it's on as we're recording this. But we're still early into it. We've got, I think we're in day 4, so we've got 6 days left after today.
Mm.
So there's plenty of stuff to watch. But right now, as we're talking, American pro athletes are sitting in the top 5 of almost every category. Um, so we Americans got a lot of representation at the NFR today, as of today. I can't get that pulled up. But anyway,
Are you a professional bull riding fan?
I like the bull riding. I like the rough stock. I like the bareback and the saddle broncs.
I used to be a giant PBR fan. Now it's like I can't stand PBR. I darn near can't stand bull riding in general.
Well, when they did that PBR teams, I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever even heard of. I guess they're doing that to make bull riding more mainstream, and the teams is supposed to appeal to non-Western sports fans that are maybe team-related sports, baseball, football fans, and give them something to watch. But I don't know if that's going to work. I think it's just stupid.
I just look at bull riding as it is the only professional rodeo event that has no real, actual, practical application to it.
Right? That's true. That's true.
I don't. That being said, I don't see the real application in barrel racing either. But
I don't really like barrel racing unless there's. It's funny to watch the horses because they all seem like they're on crack, like they are ready
oh
to
yeah,
go. They are ready to
Those
go. And
goddamn rocket donkeys.
and the bulldogging horses are the same way. I like
Oh yeah.
bulldogging. I like bulldogging. I think it's great. But they're in that chute, and they are ready to go, man. If you're not,
I
they're not holding on to them.
I work a PRCA rodeo here in Manhattan, and I've done about everything in the arena, and I don't want to be anywhere in those timed event boxes when those bulldog horses are in there. You don't want to be. I don't want to be anywhere near one.
Right?
And you're talking.
Ah,
I mean, and my main job, honestly, for the past 8 years has been I work the de-rig and shoot, so I take the gear off the rough stock animals,
mm-hmm.
and I am way more comfortable around a bucking horse and a bull than I am around a bulldog and
Really?
horse.
Okay.
And people don't believe me. I said, how hard is that? I said, believe it or not, bulls are easy. They're like, what? I said, the gear takes you about 3 seconds to get it off of them.
Is it
I said,
flank
now
rope and
try
that's
getting the
it?
rigging off of a bareback or a saddle bronc horse. It is, I swear
Yeah,
they
I
use
can
super
imagine.
glue.
Yeah, I can imagine the saddle broncs for sure, and then the bareback that's going to be
And
tied on pretty good too.
the way the way those guys put those Latigo straps on there, and you're lucky if you better hope it doesn't rain
We got
because
wet weather
those
and
straps are even
nylon.
harder to get off.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm actually having someone make a specialized tool for us next year that helps us get in between those straps and get them loosened up.
There you go. Maybe you can patent that, and
You know what? I should.
absolutely you should.
So I think another thing we had talked about discussing was
Hmm.
brands that are all name, no quality anymore.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Uh, I guess we'll go clothing, boots, and hats.
Hmm.
Clo-
Everybody knows I hate Ariat, so I mean that's even their clothes to me. I love their jeans. I don't know if I say love them. I like their jeans a lot. They're made in Mexico and they're pretty comfortable. Um, the shirts, none of them are breathable. I think worst shirts ever made. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Ariat.
It's really hard for me to find a clothing brand that's not making decent quality jeans or shirts. I'd say. I guess I get people on all the time like, "Oh, Wrangler jeans don't hold up anymore." Or they'll say the same thing about Cinch. I'm just like, "Oh, durability is subjective to what you're doing in them."
That's true.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Wrangler, Ariat, Rock and Roll, Cinch. For what I do every day, I could make a pair last forever.
Yeah,
That being said, I'm not working cattle on a horse.
I'm
So
wearing a pair. I'm wearing a pair of jeans right now from probably 2016 or 2017, and they've been worn all over the world, not just a couple times. These jeans are old, and
if I had to
so
say
jeans
one
last
brand that
forever.
I wouldn't say it's a durability issue, it's just they manufacture jeans in about 40 countries is Levi.
Yeah.
I used to, like I said, when I used to work at Lee's Western Wear, one day I just was bored and just said, I started looking at where all the Levi's, and we're talking the same style, where I was looking through 501 shrink to fits, and I think I found 8 different countries of origin of where they were made. So,
It's funny Wrangler. They're not making jeans in America anymore, for the most part. But they just did this limited release collaboration with Lucchese. They've got these 1883 Lucchese white cone selvedge jeans for $500 a pair come out. And when I saw that post, I asked a question. Said, "Are these made in the United States?" And Lucchese came back and said, "Yes, they are. They're made in North Carolina." So I thought that was pretty interesting, even though they're $500 and they're
yeah,
limited edition. But at least Wrangler's got a pair of jeans they're making in America right now.
I think I'd buy 5 pairs of Kime Ranch jeans for the same amount of money.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're about $100, and that is definitely a pair of jeans I want to try. I just haven't. I don't really need a pair of
I've
jeans, but
owned several. I think I've owned about 4 pair over the years. You really got to find your fit with them,
Hmm.
to be honest. That being said, I never had to pay full retail for any of my pairs, so
Yeah. Unfortunately, Cavender's does not retail Kimes Ranch jeans, so I have not felt the need to go out and hunt a pair down because the chance for reviewing it is kind of minimal. People know what Kimes Ranch is, and a review on it would just kind of. I would only want a pair for me because they are made in America.
I'd say on the terms of cowboy hats that are all name, no quality anymore. This is an easy one.
All hat, no
Stetson.
cattle.
Yeah, Stetson. I mean, oh my God. I mean, that being said, any of the guys I get coming in saying, "Oh, I've got a Stetson. It's a good hat." They're bringing me like a 4X or a 3X.
Hmm.
So, don't get me wrong. I think you get like a 100X Stetson. Oh my God, that's a hell of a hat. But
Yeah, it's a decent hat. It's a decent hat. I I don't mind their 6X hats, other than the fact that they're a 4-inch brim.
mm-hmm.
A lot of them. But I do have a problem with the Resistol. A lot of the Resistol Cody James. Now, the Resistol George Straits are not bad. And I don't know if that's because he's saying you're putting my name on it, it better be right, or what that is. But the Cody James and their SP and their Midnight and some of these other brands like the Challenger, they're coming out just junk. They're cardboard feeling. They feel like cardboard when you're shaping them. They're really thin. There's just they will warp really bad, and this is all of their 6X line. Their 20X is a lot better, but their 6X stuff is absolute garbage right now. And that's just my perspective. Working on these every day, I wish they would do better.
um, boot brand wise, I'm gonna throw two out here: Tony Lama and Justin.
Yeah, I'm not even sure Justin is 100% made in America anymore.
They have some, but the question is making them. I don't think they are right now.
They're not making boots.
In 2020, I think between Tony Lama and Justin, they went about 4 or 5 months without producing a pair of boots in their factory,
Hmm.
and they're paying for it now.
So Cavender's carries a lot of Justin, and they make one pair, sub. I think it's under $200. It's a decent boot, a decent looking boot. But again, 90% of the stuff coming out of that is big ugly square toe.
Yeah, where Justin went wrong is when Ariat got really popular. They kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna chase and do what Ariat's doing." Before they did that, I will say Justin's were good boots before they started chasing Ariat. That's where they went
Well,
wrong.
you know, so I was recently at Fenolio, and we're doing some work with Fenolio right now because it's a brand I believe in. I think it's a fantastic, well-made boot at a great price point, and I mentioned that their price point was better than Anderson Bean or Tecovas, and they said, well, we don't care about Tecovas. That's not that's not our market. They're not making the same thing we are. And I said, it might not be, but people are looking at that price point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are looking at that price point, and the price point you're in kind of puts you in that bracket,
Mm-hmm.
even though it might not be something you think of. People who are out here chasing. I want to be in this price range for a pair of boots that's made like this. That's absolutely kind of where you're at. So, and what Ariat's doing is they're making something that looks like a boot in a specific price point that appeals to people, and that's what they've got. That's why and they have put enough padding in it to make it comfortable, and they've made it wide enough where people don't have to figure out how to fit a boot anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Fenolios. I mean, I think I put them in there with the same customer base of Beans, Olathes, an oldie but a goodie Hondo boots.
I have not tried Hondo.
They're
I know they've been around forever.
they're cut a pair in half. The guts of them, it's all leather. Lots of rough outs, lots of.
Here's the Fenolio. And so I've worn the crap out of these boots. Love them. You know, I'm even getting pretty close to needing a new heel block. Not super close, but it's getting down there. So I wear the crap out of these because they are so comfortable. And the interesting thing about this is their zero toe. It looks like a cutter, and has a cutter profile. It's a really good looking toe, but if you look, it is super wide at the sole,
Mm-hmm.
and that footbed somehow it translated into here. I've got a pair of there's a seven toe, and you can see how much wider
Mm-hmm.
A seven toe is, or I mean the zero toe is than a seven toe, and so these are both up here for review. I've got to do some more on these, and then I'll give everybody a little spoiler. Here's the Blackjack suede Cayman and suede. And I have not decided whether I'm going to keep these or not. I don't think I am. But they're a really cool boot. They've got this, inlay here. It's really, really a cool boot. But it came with a hole in it, and I don't know if I want to deal with trying to send it back where these are completely sold out. I can't even get another pair of these.
Well, for showing off boots, I brought 2 pair down with me.
Okay.
My newest pair, and then my newest pair back from the factory.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone that knows me, I own nothing but Rios and Mercedes cowboy boots. Just honestly because of the reason they fit my foot better than anything I've ever tried on. And I'm one of those lucky people out there that has a very narrow foot. And we're way harder to find a boot for than people with wide feet.
Unless if you wear a B width, I guess you could always go with a woman's boot.
Oh yeah, if they make them long enough, that's the issue. This is my newest pair. I actually bought this hide and shipped it down to Rios, and they made a pair of boots out of it for me. It's this
Really
suede navy blue pig suede. It is just some gorgeous stuff.
That's kind of cool. You sent the suede down there, and they made a pair of boots for you. That's awesome.
And it's even got it up here on the collar, which is inlaid. It's not sewn over the top of the boot. They actually cut out where it was going to fit. And I haven't seen any other company that does inlaid collars.
That's pretty cool. I like it. It looks good. The blue looks good on that khaki light brown there. Almost a tan.
First time I've ever had anything other than a wide square toe. I did their wide snip toe.
Okay.
Well,
I like that toe. For me, that's looks like a cutter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, why don't you tell us about the process of getting a pair of boots recrafted?
There's 2 ways of doing it. You can do it yourself, just mail them back.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I work for a retailer, so that makes it even easier. We just ship them back, and they charge the retailer for them. Customer would pay the retailer.
Mm-hmm.
Most stores aren't going to try to make money off of it. It's a service, it's a customer service thing. Like just as an example for us, when we ship a pair of boots back for a customer, the only way we make money off of it is if I quote them $20 for shipping and it's $16 to ship them. I
Sure.
made $4 off of sending them back. So,
So, when you do the recrafting, what was the like, what could you get? I mean, what can you change anything when you do it? You just say, "Here's my boot. I want a new sole on it."
yeah, if you send them back to saying, hey, I want them basically as you got them, you can do that. I'm a guy, I find sole treatments I like more than others. Uh, this pair of boots came with a black hybrid sole on them. I'm actually a big fan of this sole. It's called an F1.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very similar kind of rubber compound to what Ten Hall uses on their soles.
Now, is that a smooth rubber or is that
Yeah, it has no
like
tread
a
on it.
serrated? Okay.
And it's
My Anderson Beans have the hybrid sole with the tread, and I really like them actually.
yeah, and that's one of Anderson Bean's most popular soles is a hybrid. I mean,
Yeah.
um, and I think my sales rep told me about a year ago about 70% of their boots are made with either a hybrid or an oxbow sole, and then the other 30% is everything else. Probably 20% of that being leather soles, and then 10% being all their other rubber bottoms or crepe soles or other stuff like that.
So how long did it take you to get for the process, and what does it cost somebody?
Um, so it's $150 to have the heels, soles, welts, insoles, shanks, cushion insoles all replaced. They put the last back in there while they're doing it, so that boot fits pretty much the same when you get them back. Um, I will say Rios, you get them back a hair quicker than if you had a pair of Olathes or ABs done.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I just don't think there's quite the volume of Rios getting made that there is Anderson Beans. It's so basically there's like two or three people I think that are in charge of ripping them apart, and then they go in the
Okay.
production line like a new boot. And I think they try to run about 30 of them through the factory a day. Don't quote me on that. They might say some days, hey, we're not running any recrafts into production. Versus other
Mm-hmm.
days they might say, hey, we're going to run 2 or 3 carts, which is about 30 pair a cart, into production. And they might go through phases of like, hey, we've got a ton of recrafts. We need to get them in. We need to get them out of here. I don't know how
Sure.
that particularly works. I'd love
How
to
long
go.
did it take you to get your pair?
About 2 months. I was
2 months. Okay.
expecting not seeing them for 6, honestly.
Right.
Um, that being said, you can just get like, oh I need new heels. You can just send them back and get new heels. That I think they try to get that done way quicker.
What does that cost? You know?
35. Now this is before you're talking shipping. Now that recraft price that includes return freight back to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's on you to get them to them, whether that be through a retailer or on your own. I don't know I know Lucchese offers recrafting services. Now they are very specific about doing them,
Right.
from what I've heard.
Right.
Another company,
And they're about the same price with the heel blocks or the heel caps. So
yeah.
about $35.
I know Rod Patrick Boot Company does it.
Fenolio also will do recrafting.
Other than that, I don't know of any other boot company that really is offering it. I think they just rather sell you a new pair of boots. And some companies, it's just the way they make them. They don't build them to be redone. Area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or shoot, most Twisted X boots too. I mean,
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Twisted X either.
they're comfortable.
I've seen their all I've seen is their work boots, steel toes, non-steel toe work boots. Cavender's doesn't really carry any Twisted X cowboy boots.
They're depending where you are. Twisted X cowboy boots are a tough sell to customers. Most customers, the only reason they even know of Twisted X were their driving moccasins.
Okay.
Which I can tell you, we don't have a single pair of them in our store. Some people will find that hard to believe, but we don't have a pair of them anymore.
Well, I mean, they're Cavender sells a ton of those. So
here in Manhattan,
that
Hey Dudes killed them in our area.
yeah. So Cavender's doesn't sell Hey Dudes, so that's
Hey Dude's about to move where they
I don't know
sell
why.
directly to the customer. They're not going to wholesale anymore. I don't personally think.
Well, I heard something about them. They were sold, or the management changed or something.
Crocs
I think
bought
they were
them.
sold. That's right. That's what
And
it
then
was.
I think
And
Crocs
so
just got bought by, if I remember this right, Louis Vuitton.
I mean, okay. LVMH, but they're pretty big in that space. They buy everything. They're a monster.
Um,
I don't know why that's luxury. I don't see Crocs as a luxury
I don't
brand,
either.
but okay.
I think they're hideous. My wife owns several pair of them, and I make fun of her for every pair of them she has. So,
Well, I've heard a lot of people say they're super comfortable, but I wouldn't know because I'll never try them on.
I'll never try a pair on either. I swore I would never buy a pair of Hey Dudes, but I own two pair of them now.
Yeah, they're interesting. They're very comfortable.
Be careful how much you wear
there's
them,
nothing.
though. This is advice to everybody out there. My boss found
Okay,
out the
why is
hard
that?
way. My boss went, 12 months, about 14 months, where he wore nothing but either flip-flops or Hey Dudes.
Mhm.
And then once COVID kind of ended, he felt, like dressing up a little bit more and getting a little fancier with what he wears. Went to put on his, pricey Anderson beans, and he's like, "Hey, my beans don't fit anymore." And I looked at him, and I said, he's like, "Why is that?" I said, "Well, you wore shoes without arch support for a year." I said, "Your feet widened out, so." But I see people that wear them all the time. I'm like, man, let's just destroy your. I mean, I limit myself to wearing them a day a week, and it's usually Mondays when I'm just like, okay, I don't want to try at all today. So, but one thing I did just get a pair of, and I love them, are a pair of Thorogoods.
Okay.
I don't know if you've
like work boots.
yeah,
Or?
they're known for their mock toe wedge sole.
Okay.
They're stupid comfortable. Union made, American made.
Yes. Yeah.
I love them. I wear them to work all the time.
I'm
We don't
pretty
even sell them, but I've always wanted a pair. So
I'm pretty sure my last steel toe were Thorogood, made in America. I would have to look, but I'm pretty sure they're Thorogood, or one of those Pacific Northwest companies. I forget which one. Not Rocky, but made in America, recraftable.
Danner makes a Wetzel,
Danner, could have been
Motto.
Danner. Could have been a Danner too. I forget. Anyway.
And then there are quite a few companies out there that aren't really well known that are making phenomenal products. You know, Fenolio, was one of them. 7 years ago, I would have said Anderson Bean, but I had customers go, "What the hell is Anderson Bean?" Now I get people going, "Oh, they got beans here," when they walk in.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, like we said, they've got this cult-like following, and even if you don't, yeah, I mean, if you're into boots, you pretty much know who Anderson Bean is, even if you don't wear them.
mhm. um, what's cowboy? Cowboy hats. I'm going to say companies like Big R, Greeley. Um,
Really.
yeah, pricey hats, but I've worked on a few of them over the years.
Yeah. Interesting company. Interesting history.
Another shirt brand I'm wanting to try out if they'd ever make them in my size is Ruddock Brothers. They're made in Texas.
Okay.
Um,
Reddick Brothers?
yeah, they're
I've
one of
not heard
those
of them. I
few
might have to.
companies that are still hanging on to doing the old neck size, sleeve size style of sizing. Which I will tell people, if you ever get size in a shirt like that, they fit 10 times better than anything that says medium or large on it. Um,
There's
Wrangler stopped selling shirts size like that.
Yeah, you can still find some of the snap shirts like that. But there's another company in, I want to say Oklahoma that's making blue jeans in America, right there in Oklahoma. I forget who it is. I'm gonna have to, if I remember, I'll put a note here because that's another brand I wanted to try. Who was that? Anyway, so and so tell us about tell us about Cactus Alley and where people can find their hats and what they got going on right now.
Well, Cactus Alley, as far as retail, like finding them in stores, uh, they're one of the few companies out there that lets stores pick what embroidery or patch goes on what particular cap, which is really cool. Um, they're made in Lubbock, Texas. When I say made in Lubbock, Texas, that's we're putting the patch or embroidery on the hats there. Um, and our patches are made there in house in Lubbock.
Hmm.
Um, they're easier to find in Texas and Oklahoma than they are Kansas so far. We're really working on getting the distribution growing up here in the Midwest. I guess that's my job actually. So,
All right, well that's pretty cool. I mean, and I think we started talking maybe about 5 months ago, and you just started, so you've been with them about 6 months or
mm-hmm.
something now at this point, or something like that. I hope that all goes well for you, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us
Mm-hmm.
tonight. And you did a great job filling in for Lionel and Clay. We really
Well,
appreciate
I'd be
you,
more than
you
welcome to
stepping up,
ever
and
pop back on again.
that'd be great. We'll definitely talk about that because it was a lot of great conversation, and the back and forth was pretty good. A lot of interesting topics right now, and it's a good insight for people to see, kind of um, the retail sausage factory,
Mm-hmm.
how the how it's how
Yeah, it's not
the
all created
products that
equal.
no, no, it's not. Um, I wish some of these historic brands were doing a little bit better job um, being good stewards of the name. You know, uh, you maybe we'll see a little change coming soon. That would be great. Um, Yeah, one thing before we go, I just want to address is that Yellowstone is playing a huge role in kind of the demand for Western wear and Western products at this time, and a lot of people.
It's the new urban cowboy.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of people are not getting. A lot of people who have been wearing this stuff for decades and years are coming in and they're kind of getting upset. Well, I can't get my stuff, because you know I don't have access to it. Well, it's a really good thing because now you're going to have more access to it once it kind of dies down. If Western products were only made for the 5% of people who worked and and needed them for work, the companies would go out of
Yes,
business.
they would.
So you have to have this influx, and it's a great thing for the industry. I know it's kind of a pain right now, but it's a really good thing. And the longer it lasts, the better the production is gonna get. They're gonna ramp up and have better quality people in there doing stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to address that. Garrett, really appreciate you coming on, and thanks, buddy. Hang out for just a minute. We want to make sure this uploads complete in the stream. Thanks
All
for
right.
watching, everybody.